The watchers can also be translated as shining ones, is another word for them. The book of Enoch states that 200 of these watchers descended to earth in the days of Jared, i.e. Genesis 5:18. Some of them were given names, and the worst of all of them was Azazel. Okay? Now what's interesting for those of you that are TV trivia buffs, the bad guy in the Smurfs show is called Azazel. Remember the Smurfs years ago? I don't think they were still on the air. But anyhow, they had this bad, and he was called Azazel. So somebody's reading their apocryphal literature on television. Azazel is accused, listen to this, of scattering over the earth the secrets of heaven, and hath rebelled against the Mighty One. He was giving away classified documents. What was he teaching them? Well, will you hear this? These watchers against Yahweh's wishes not only married human women, but they taught human beings astrology. Not only that, they taught us how to fashion weapons. Before this, there were no weapons. Now, you ready for this? This is a scary one. They taught women how to use cosmetics. They were teaching occult secrets to their children in the Nephilim. They taught the black arts to all the people that would listen. It says that the watchers, there arose so much godlessness, and they committed fornication, and they were led astray and became corrupt in all of their ways. End of quote. Now, none of this contradicts the Torah. It just fleshes it out a little. As a tertiary note of interest, much of this same material is also found in pagan sources like Greco-Roman mythology, the Teutonic mythology, Hindu mythology like the Mahabharata, and also the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is an ancient Babylonian literary work. I only mention that because, and this is important to understand, because you'll get, if you witness to enough either witches or New Agers, you're going to get something like this thrown at you, and I want to tell you what to say. You'll often hear people say, well, there's all kinds of this stuff going on out there. Jesus isn't the only one who rose from the dead. There's all these other people that rose from the dead. I mean, Attis rose from the dead. Adonis rose from the dead. Osiris rose from the dead. Blah, 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 you know. And there's so many of the images of the Virgin Mother, the virgin birth, you know, Isis and all of this stuff. I'm sure you've heard some of this. And they say, so he's just one of many. But you see, what they don't realize is one important thing. What happened after the flood? Don't you think Noah was re-given the Messianic promise that was given to Adam if he didn't know it already? And he taught. That's called the proto-evangelion in Greek, the original giving of the gospel, the good news, that Eve's seed would crush the head of the serpent. Anyway, think about this. He taught this to his 3 sons. They taught it to their sons. And off it went, especially with the Tower of Babel being spread all over the world. But just like anything else, without written revelation, it got a little distorted. It got to India, and it became the legend of the Mahabharata. It got to Egypt, and it became Isis and Osiris and Horus, and so on and so on and so on. That doesn't invalidate the true fact that Yeshua died on the cross and rose from the dead and was born of a virgin. All it does is it shows that the initial impact of that promise, originally in the Garden of Eden, carried through Noah into all the race of the world, was so powerful that it rippled with these cultural traces through every nation in the world. Because if we believe the Scriptures to be true, which I do, then everybody on earth is descended from either Shem, Ham, or Japheth. Amen? That's it. You know, except for fruit flies. But anyway, now, years ago, I forget who it was, I think it was Zachariah Sitchin, claimed that fruit flies came from Venus. That a comet came and landed on the earth and flies fell off the comet. That's why they're so weird. And that's partly why they're associated with the devil. Because the devil is associated with the planet Venus. Because Venus is the rising star, the morning star, the evening star. So that's how come the devil became known as Baal Zevuf, the Lord of the Flies. Anyway, What did that have to do with anything? So the point I guess I was making, if I could remember it, is that this echo of the truth doesn't invalidate the truth. It just means that down through the years, all these different cultures were dealing with the truth in their own way. Just like, for example, think of this. Every culture on earth has the idea of sacrifice. The idea if I do something wrong, I have to do something to appease the gods. Whether it's kill an animal, whether it's maybe just gash my wrist and let some blood pour out upon the ground, or maybe even, Yahweh forbid, human sacrifice. The idea that without the shedding of blood, there is no remission of sin, it's like hardwired into human consciousness on every continent. Whether you're Aboriginal in Australia, whether you're Africa, whether you're European, whether you're Native Americans. They all do it. And why do you think the Sundance people here in the New World, they put those talons of eagles in the chests of the men and string them up into the face of the noonday sun? I mean, that's a metaphor for the crucifixion. You know? The power of truth is such that it will percolate through anything. You can't keep truth out. It will swirl and it will find an entry. Anyway, so this is the whole idea, and I think we need to take this material from these secondary sources like the Book of Enoch seriously, because they do help us understand some things. Now, let's have a closer look at angels, because angels are real big right now, as they say in the media trade. The word angel comes from the word angelos in Greek or melech in Hebrew. Both can be translated as a messenger. They're often terrifying and beautiful beings, unlike popular media today. They are almost always terrifying, such as in Judges 6:22 and Judges 13:20, although they can also appear to be normal men. Remember, the author of Hebrews says in Hebrews 13:2 that we may entertain angels unaware. They refuse to be worshipped or direct people to worship anything but the true and living Elohim, like Revelation 19:10 and Revelation 22:9. And I'm sorry, folks, they don't have wings or halos. That's a popular misconception. There are beings like the cherubim and the seraphim that do have wings, but you never see an angel in the Bible with wings. They are not chubby, naked babies, nor are they appear to be female. So forget about the little chubby Cupid guys, you know, that are flying around going boing like this with bows and arrows. Even though we call those cherubs, if you were to see a real cherub, you would probably fall on your back in astonishment. Because there's carvings from many ancient cultures, because, of course, the Hebrews were forbidden to carve images, with the one exception, of course, of the Ark of the Covenant. And so we don't have anything from their point of view. But the cherub is a winged bull of awesome appearance. That's what their natural state is. In the New Testament, they invariably testify of Yeshua the Messiah. So if your angels that you're dealing with don't have these 5 or 6 characteristics I just mentioned, watch out. They might not be the real McCoy. The angels we get in popular culture today are very different. For example, there are more often than not gauzy romantic females. They almost never testify of Yeshua or his gospel, except maybe during the Christmas season, you know, when we have Be Kind to God Week, I call it, the one week of the year where they cram in all of these, you know, Christmassy, pseudo-Christian TV shows. And, of course, we have the annual appearance of the 10 Commandments during Lent. You know, that's the other Be Kind to God Week. Otherwise, television doesn't hate to trash them every chance they get. These angels on TV and in the movies only talk of love and mercy, never judgment. And there are spiritual creatures who are training people to get in contact with their angels. Did you know if you go into like a big bookstore, you can find angel tarot decks. You can find angel channeling books, how to channel your own angel and get guidance from your angels. And there are even supposed angels now singing on CDs. Now, wouldn't that be a bestseller, having angels singing on a CD? So, and it gets better and better, folks. You go to Hollywood,